Welcome to the Deconstructionist Deep Dive. This is the show that doesn't just accept the story.
We break it
We examine the pieces.
and expose the machinery inside.
Let's dive in.
What if everything you've been told about the afterlife isn't just wrong, but is meticulously designed to be wrong?
Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into a really fascinating and, let's be honest, deeply problematic claim.
That's the idea that hypnosis can give us objective, literal access to a spirit world.
Right. And this concept was hugely popularized by Michael Newton's Journey of Souls, which, it's captured the imagination of millions.
Oh, absolutely. You've probably heard whispers of past life regression, soul contracts, detailed afterlife maps. It all promises answers to life's biggest mysteries.
And it's easy to see the appeal, isn't it?
Yeah.
For so many people, this book offers a profound sense of peace.
It does. It gives a coherent explanation for suffering, a comforting framework for what happens after we die.
Yeah.
It's like a detailed map of the spirit world.
Provides solace for anyone grappling with that ultimate unknown. But, okay, as the Deconstructionist Deep Dive, our mission is to rigorously examine narratives exactly like this one.
We're here to ask, is this truly profound spiritual insight? Or is it a meticulously crafted narrative designed to comfort, control, and ultimately, to profit?
That's the core question, and it takes us straight to the foundational claim, doesn't it?
It does. Newton's entire framework rests on this assertion that hypnosis is some kind of objective portal, like a direct line to universal, verifiable spiritual truth.
All right, let's be unequivocally clear right up front. Hypnosis is not a time machine.
And it's definitely not an astral plane hotline, no. What it is a state of heightened suggestibility, focused attention, and really vivid imagination.
So maybe for those of us whose main idea hypnosis comes from, movies or stage shows, what's really happening in these life between lives sessions Newton describes?
Well, in those sessions, the memories people retrieve are, look, it's a complex soup.
A soup, okay.
Yeah, a mixture of cultural conditioning, personal beliefs, subconscious desires, and this is critical, direct, often very subtle, suggestions from the hypnotists themselves, including Newton.
Right.
So the whole methodology is deeply self-serving and, crucially, unfalsifiable.
And unfalsifiable, just to be clear for our listeners, that means?
It means there's simply no way to prove it wrong. Any inconsistency you find in subjects' reports, like if one person says the afterlife is green and another says it's blue, it just gets dismissed.
Conveniently.
Very conveniently. As variations in soul development or different levels of consciousness, it neatly immunizes the whole theory from any real criticism or scientific scrutiny.
So the evidence is purely anecdotal, subjective.
Exactly. The lowest rung on the ladder of scientific evidence. It's a closed loop, you see. The methodology dictates the truth, and then that truth validates the methodology.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, maybe beyond just the scientific claims. Let's look at the sheer emotional power of this narrative. This book is kind of a masterclass in psychological leverage, isn't it?
Absolutely. It expertly taps into some of our most universal human fears.
Like the fear of death itself, obviously. The fear of meaninglessness. That feeling of profound isolation, feeling alone in the cosmos.
And he uses language designed to amplify those anxieties, talking about the ultimate danger to our being, the greatest dread of thoughts about the nothingness. Really strong stuff.
And then, after stirring all that up,
Swoops in with the ultimate comfort. Newton's narrative offers this incredibly detailed, orderly, and deeply loving afterlife. You're reunited with loved ones. There are benevolent, all-knowing guides watching over your journey.
the language is so carefully chosen, too.
Right.
Full of symbolic resonance, tunnels of light, homecomings, wise teachers, all the archetypes that resonate deep within us.
Meticulously crafted. It creates an emotionally satisfying cosmology, yes. But one that, if we connect this to the bigger picture, can be intellectually barren. It's essentially a spiritual pacifier.
A pacifier, designed to soothe existential anxiety rather than encourage maybe genuine, potentially uncomfortable exploration.
Precisely.
So, okay, we've got a system. It offers comfort, it addresses deep fears, claims objective truth through a, let's say, questionable methodology. This raises a big question. Who truly benefits from this meticulously constructed narrative, and what's the real cost?
The answer, once you start deconstructing it, becomes pretty stark. Michael Newton himself and the entire past life regression industry built around these concepts.
So the book isn't just a book.
No, it's a brilliant marketing tool. It generates immense demand for his specific, unorthodox and non-clinical services, and those of his certified practitioners,
And he positions himself as a skeptic, right, who just stumbled onto this amazing discovery.
which is a classic grift technique. Lend false credibility, make the claim seem more authentic because, hey, even he was skeptical at first. It's clever.
So this system stabilizes what you might call spiritual consumerism.
That's a good way to put it. Your deep-seated existential anxiety, the biggest questions of human existence. They can be managed for a price, of course, by a certified expert who claims to access your superconscious mind.
It's a fundamental power play, then. It transfers authority.
Exactly. Away from your own critical faculties, directly to the hypnotist and these guides they supposedly channel.
That's a powerful way to frame it. A shift in authority. Okay, let's dig deeper into the core concepts he champions and see how they contribute to this transfer of power.
Let's do it.
First, there's this idea of a superconscious mind, or a soul, as a distinct immortal entity, a specific part of you that can be objectively accessed through hypnosis. What are the immediate red flags there?
Well, what's fascinating is how this concept functions as a potent control mechanism.
Yeah.
If you look at the bigger picture, it really mirrors the priestly function.
How so?
Like being a sole interpreter of divine truth. Think about the Catholic Church's historical control of Scripture and sacraments. Access to the truth about your immortal soul is controlled by a specialist Newton or his certified hypnotists.
Creating a spiritual hierarchy.
Exactly, where they hold the keys to your deepest self.
And this idea of a permanent individual soul. How does that stack up against other philosophical traditions, say, from the East?
Philosophically, it's directly contradicted by concepts like Buddhist anatta, the doctrine of no self.
Right, the idea that a permanent, unchanging soul is an illusion.
Precisely. The self, in that view, is a transient confluence of ever-changing parts, not some fixed, discrete thing. Newton's idea, by contrast, is very Western, very egocentric.
And this also exposes a power dynamic, right? You mentioned Foucault.
Yeah, through Michel Foucault's analysis of power knowledge. The knowledge of the spirit world isn't just discovered, it's actively produced by Newton's specific hypnotherapy technique.
Ah, so the technique itself creates the result.
And this production of knowledge then grants him huge authority over his client's spiritual narratives. So it's not just what you believe, but how that belief gets constructed and who benefits from that construction.
The knowledge isn't found, it's made. And that gives the maker the power. Feels like a blueprint. Which brings us to the second core concept. This detailed, structured afterlife of learning and progression.
Complete with soul levels, counsels, guides.
Yeah, you start as a beginner soul, you get performance reviews, you advance. Why would such a structured vision appeal so strongly to people? What's the draw?
It appeals precisely because it's a direct parallel to familiar structures. Think corporate ladders, military hierarchies, things we navigate every day.
Okay, I see that.
You start as a beginner, you get performance reviews from your guides, who are basically cosmic managers. You advance through levels, then you get promoted to guide yourself.
So it projects a familiar, orderly, almost capitalist power structure onto the cosmos. Makes the unknowable seem manageable.
Like a spiritual HR department for the universe. You nailed it.
A cosmic middle management fantasy.
That's it. And philosophically, this rigid system of effort and progression is profoundly at odds with, say, the Taoist concept of wu-wei.
Effortless action.
Right. And the idea of returning to the unnameable Tao, a state of unconditioned flow, not some goal-oriented curriculum. Newton's system is all about effort, progression, goals. It's a distortion of many mystical traditions that actually seek release from such cycles.
It feels very human.
As Nietzsche might say, human, all too human. This afterlife is bizarrely bureaucratic. It's sentimental, obsessed with earthly dramas. It really does read like an executive's fantasy of a perfectly ordered universe, not some transcendent, ungraspable reality.
Okay, that leads us to the third core concept. Karmic justice and pre-planned lives for soul growth. This idea that your life, challenges and all, is basically a curriculum designed for your soul's development. Any suffering serves a higher purpose.
This one functions as a really powerful control mechanism. It parallels things like Calvinist predestination, where your path is preordained by a higher power for a higher purpose.
And how does that control aspect work?
Well, it subtly encourages passivity, acceptance of your lot in life. Any suffering gets framed as, oh, it's for my growth, or it's just a karmic lesson.
Which conveniently discourages challenging things like systemic injustice or difficult circumstances.
Because they can be explained away. Oh, it's a lesson you chose before you were born, or that's just karma playing out.
So it could potentially dampen any drive for real-world change, make people accept things they shouldn't.
Exactly. And philosophically, it directly contradicts absurdist philosophy, like chemists put forth.
Which says the universe is indifferent, right? Meaning isn't preordained, you have to create it rebelliously.
Exactly. Create it in the face of cosmic silence. Newton, instead, offers this cozy, prefabricated meaning, which, connecting it to the bigger picture again, can be exposed as a tool of social control.
Like Marx's opiate of the masses critique.
Very much like that. The promise of justice or understanding in another life can be used to pacify those suffering from profound injustice in this one.
Wow. Okay, these concepts are clearly designed to provide a very specific kind of order and comfort, but it sounds like it comes at a cost to our critical faculties. Let's really unpack some of the specific deceptions at play here. The deliberate traps in thinking laid within this framework.
Absolutely. Let's look at how this whole edifice is actually constructed piece by piece.
Okay, first deception.
The first big one is what I've called the illusion of objective access. This bundles together a few things. The idea that hypnosis provides literal access to past lives and the afterlife.
Right.
The claim that the remarkable consistency across reports somehow validates this experience.
Which we already touched on.
And the conveniently added idea that amnesia, forgetting past lives, is somehow necessary for soul growth.
Ah, the amnesia clause. So it's not just the hypnosis itself, but how he uses the results or lack thereof to prove his theory.
Precisely. It's a masterful sleight of hand. The type of deception here is a mix. Misrepresentation of science, definitely circular reasoning, and an ad hoc hypothesis.
Meaning an explanation made up on the fly just to protect the theory.
Exactly. The power behind this comes from the hypnotherapy industry itself and the author's perceived authority. You see parallels cross-culturally, like shamanic journeying, but that's often understood metaphorically. Newton repackages it for modern Western consumers who crave empirical proof.
But the shaman understands metaphor, inner experience. Newton claims literal geography of the spirit world.
Right, and the consistency isn't proof of an objective reality. It's proof of shared human psychology, and crucially, the subtle cues from the hypnotist. And that amnesia for previous lives, that's the ultimate immunizing strategy. It explains away the complete lack of verifiable evidence.
So it's a completely closed system. The method dictates the answers. Any inconvenient questions get hand-waved away as part of the spiritual process itself. Okay, for our listeners, what's the real cost to our individual autonomy when we outsource our understanding of reality like this?
The cost is profound. You essentially outsource your epistemology, your entire way of knowing what's true, to a therapist's couch. You trade genuine skepticism and critical thought for a staged fantasy. It teaches you to mistake consensus, or maybe just what the hypnotist wants you to find, for actual truth.
Okay, deception number 2.
Then we have the human, all too human soul. This is the deception that presents the soul as a discrete, conscious entity that retains very human-like personalities, relationships, emotional needs.
And this often culminates in those highly emotional reunions with loved ones, right? Even pets.
Exactly. It taps right into that deep, emotional longing for continuity, doesn't it? The idea that our loved ones are just waiting, exactly as we remember them.
It's incredibly powerful emotionally.
It's pure anthropomorphic projection and wish fulfillment, powered by religious institutions that have been selling immortality for millennia. Think of the Greek underworld, where the shades retain all their earthly concerns. It's that, just repackaged with 20th century psychotherapy jargon.
And the mechanism here is
Emotional blackmail, fear-based control. It manipulates our deepest emotional vulnerabilities, our love, our grief. These are used as weapons to make you accept the entire fraudulent structure.
so the freedom lens here. What does accepting this view mean for our own sense of self, our potential?
This deception keeps you trapped in a, frankly, childish, ego-driven identity. It denies the possibility of a consciousness so transcendent it's beyond our petty human dramas and attachments. It also pathologizes the natural process of grief by promising a very specific, comforting, but potentially false reunion narrative.
Okay, what's next?
Next up, the cosmic bureaucracy. This is that benevolent, organized hierarchy of guides and councils managing our souls.
And the related idea that your life is a pre-orchestrated curriculum for learning and growth?
Yes, it sounds very orderly, very reassuring.
Yeah.
Like the universe has a plan, and there are managers making sure we stick to it.
It feeds that need for order.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's quintessential power-preserving fiction.
Mhm.
It's historical revisionism, drawing its power from all hierarchies, state, religious, capital. It's basically the Catholic celestial hierarchy of angels,
Repackaged.
repackaged as soul levels and senior guides for a more secular audience that still craves order and authority. It's spiritual feudalism.
Yeah.
It conditions you to accept being a subject in a cosmic corporation, never truly sovereign.
And the curriculum idea that life's hardships are lessons.
That's fear-based control and false teleology.
Yeah.
The flawed idea that everything has a preordained purpose. It's like the noble lie from Plato's Republic, repackaged for the personal development culture. It tells you your suffering has a secret, noble purpose, known only to the wise guides.
So even our tragedies become just part of the plan. What does that do to our ability to react to injustice or just plain bad luck?
It's the ultimate intellectual cage. It pathologizes random tragedy and systemic injustice as mere lessons. It can rob you of righteous anger, the drive to change things now. It encourages passivity by making you believe your situation is something you chose or somehow deserve for growth.
Okay, the fourth area of deception.
This is the cloak of science and skepticism. It involves two main things: using scientific-sounding jargon like energy, vibrations, frequency, to describe spiritual concepts.
Makes it sound legitimate.
And alongside that, the author's claim of being a skeptic himself to gain unearned credibility.
Ah, the jargon trap. Sounds impressive, sounds scientific, but it's actually empty. And claiming to be a skeptic while selling a very specific belief system, that's a clever tactic.
It really is. It's pseudoscience and lexical theft, pure and simple, powered by the entire wellness and pseudoscience industry. It's like alchemical mysticism repackaged with quantum physics buzzwords to sound modern and credible, often to a scientifically illiterate audience.
And the danger there.
It corrupts your understanding of real science and critical thinking.
Yeah.
It creates this fuzzy, feel-good science that's accountable to nothing but its own internal fantasy. And that skeptic claim, that's a classic logical fallacy, appeal to false authority. It's a Trojan horse tactic used by grifters and con artists forever.
Like the Fox News fair and balanced slogan repackaged for metaphysics.
Exactly. It's a disarming tactic. It lowers your critical defenses because you think, well, if even he was skeptical at first, it must be true.
So it teaches us to distrust genuine skepticism by associating it with this hollow, performative imitation.
Precisely. And finally, perhaps the most insidious deception of all, the ultimate intellectual cage, which is simply that the entire model is completely unfalsifiable.
And therefore epistemologically meaningless.
Meaning it can't actually tell us anything real about the world because there's no way to test it, no way to potentially prove it wrong.
Right.
It's an epistemological failure. It's characteristic of all systems that simply cannot withstand scrutiny.
Yeah.
Think of psychoanalysis and its unfalsifiable complexes. It's that, just repackaged for the afterlife.
How is it unfalsifiable in practice?
Any contradiction, any lack of evidence, any failed prediction can always be explained away. Oh, that's your soul level, or your conscious mind isn't ready to accept it, or you forgot because of the amnesia veil. There's always an out.
It builds a prison with no doors because it defines itself as being outside the realm of disproof. What does it mean for a rational mind to accept a system that inherently cannot be challenged?
That sounds like the death of reason itself. It really is the ultimate deception.
Yeah.
This idea that your deepest existential dread can be cured by simply purchasing a pre-made, very human-centric narrative of the cosmos.
And that experts like Newton hold the exclusive keys to it.
Yeah, it's the deception that meaning is external, given to you by guides and counsels, rather than something forged by you in the fiery, uncertain, and maybe beautiful chaos of a mysterious existence.
Perhaps the true courage lies not in finding comfort in that pre-written map, but in embracing the magnificent, maybe terrifying uncertainty of the terrain itself.
I think so. The terror and the magnificence of not knowing might be infinitely more honest and ultimately more empowering than the most comforting lie. What would it mean to truly burn this mental prison, this spiritual consumerism, this karmic bureaucracy, this cosmic middle management completely to the ground?
And that's where your own critical mind, your willingness to truly see, becomes your most potent tool. Your capacity to stare into the void and find your own meaning, that's the one thing they can never truly own. Stop begging for chains. Think for yourself.
And that's our deep dive for this week.
Remember, the most dangerous illusion is the one you don't know you're in.
But now you know. So here's our question for you. What is the one comforting idea you're holding on to that you're finally ready to put on the chopping block?
Let us know in the comments. Question the narrative, deconstruct the dogma, see the system.
We'll see you next time.
Stay skeptical.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.